and welcome to this episode of Face to Face with BioVoice News. Today on this show, we have Dr. Yogesh Shouche, Senior Scientist, Deputy Director of SKAN Research Trust. With over the last 3 decades of rich experience in studying microbial communities, Dr. Shouche has worked extensively on the human microbiome of the Indian population. He was the brain behind one of the largest global microbial culture center in India that harbors microbes from different ecosystems. Warm welcome to you, sir, and it's a great pleasure to have you today with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here and talking to you all. This is really indeed a great pleasure and honor.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, in your highly accomplished career spanning the last 3 decades, you have witnessed a great deal of evolution in the field of microbiology. So what changes do you see from both academic as well as industry perspective?
Yes, so in the last 3 decades, I have seen a lot of changes. So one major change that I have seen, not just microbiology research in particular, but in general, the biological research, what I have observed is that now we are becoming more global. So we are doing competitive research in global arena. So it is not that we are somewhere behind and addressing some smaller problems, but we are actually doing a global research. And the information flow, like earlier when I was a student, a doctoral student, the information flow used to take a lot of time because non-availability of information in real time. But nowadays, because of the internet and other facility, something happens in any corner of the world in terms of research in your field, you come to know immediately. Earlier, you had to wait for 2 to 3 months for the publication to come to your library, and then you come to know about it. Nowadays, it is instantaneous. So, and that has then translated into people really working on the current problems rather than doing something which is rather older. So that is one major change. Secondly, what I have also seen is that the research has been translated from bigger research laboratories to smaller colleges also. So today you see many smaller colleges also doing a significantly good amount of research, if not all, at least many colleges you see that a good amount of research is being done, and which helps in getting students exposed to research and newer areas. So that is a significant change which I have seen in last few years.
Right. And so you have been associated with the National Center for Cell Sciences Pune, NCCS Pune, for a long time. So how do you look back, at this stint at NCCS Pune? Any unique anecdotes you would like to share with us and the audience?
See, NCCS Pune, I mean, it was a wonderful experience working in NCCS Pune, and I have seen it transforming from a small place with 4 to 5 researchers to becoming a globally recognized research institute in various areas. So it had always been a pleasure to work in NCCS, and I am proud of it. So the founder director, late Dr. Ullas Wagh, followed by successive directors, Dr. G.C. Mishra, Dr. Shekhar Mande, and then Manoj Bhatt, they kind of, the first 2, 3 directors laid the foundations of what NCCS is today. And I consider myself privileged that I enjoyed confidence from all of them, and they gave me many major responsibilities and total freedom. That is something which I enjoyed. And same holds true with the secretaries also. I worked closely with starting with departmental secretaries, starting from Dr. Manju Sharma, then Professor Bhan, late Professor Bhan, then Vijay Raghavan and Renu Swarup. So that, I mean, that was a wonderful experience, especially with Dr. Renu Swarup. I was associated with her even before she became secretary. So it is a more than a decade's association with her. And I mean, she is one of the best person I would have worked with her. Very meticulous, very to the point, and very demanding. So I mean, I would say that working with these people, the directors as well as different secretaries and various other collaborators which I came across throughout life in various areas, I learned quite a lot of them. And one thing is for sure that without collaborations, research cannot progress. So you cannot sit in silo and say that I'll do everything on my own. No, I mean, you have to have collaborate. And while working with your junior colleagues, you need to give them freedom. I mean, from just handling students when I graduated to handling a big activity like microbial culture collection, where I had several younger colleagues, budding researchers working with me, I learned that you should give them freedom and have trust with them, and they will do it. So you cannot always keep on doing micromanaging and seeing what they do day out. No, I mean, they won't progress that way. I feel all of my junior colleagues also have been very successful in their careers.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, without collaboration, it is, of course, we won't get the kind of results we want, especially in the research area. So particularly on the National Center for Microbial Resources front, which was previously known as Microbial Research Center also. So you have been associated with it. I mean, I would rather say that you have been the brain behind this, National Center. So would you like to enlighten us about your experiences during its inception, including challenges and key milestones, and why
Yeah,
it is
sure.
so relevant for India?
Yeah, it's a topic very close to my heart. And see, I mean, it is again a long-term thinking of some visionaries that has led to establishment of this place. And if you go back in the history, 2007, Department of Biotechnology had taken up this project to, uh, I mean, screen a large number of microbes from diverse ecological niches to see if we can get some valuable products from them in terms of drugs. And then that time, people like, especially Renu Swarup and the Dr. Amit Ghosh, who was coordinating this project, they thought that when we are collecting such a huge number of microbes, over 200,000 microbes, uh, instead of just, I mean, collecting them and assaying them and then forgetting about them, it will be a good idea to have all these in one place so that in future anybody else wants to access them for any other activity, they can access them. And thus this microbial culture collection was born. And then somehow they thought that I could handle this responsibility, so they entrusted this responsibility. And since then it has been a long journey. So the 200 and more than 200,000 cultures, they were characterized to different levels. Somewhere down the line, we got recognition as International Depository Authority under WIPO. We also got recognition as National Repository by Ministry of Environment, Forest Change and Climate, for Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And today, it's a world-class repository, globally known. So, and I mean, it has many specialized cultures. It has cultures from photoautotrophic bacteria. It has well characterized cultures with some important industrial activities. It has a huge collection from gut microbes also. So it has become now a unique repository globally.
Right, sir. So currently you are associated with SKAN Research Trust as its deputy director. So please tell us the broad objectives of the trust, and what are the key ongoing projects, and what are the long-term expected
Yes.
outcomes?
Yes. again, I mean, I would once again say that I consider myself lucky that I have been associated with many visionaries, like from, as I said, the Department of Biotechnology, my stay during Department of Biotechnology, and then at the SKAN. So this is again an idea of one visionary, Mr. Ashok Sutta. He's the chairman of SKAN Research Trust. He's basically a IT person. So he has established successful IT enterprises, the happiest mind being the latest one, and which has been a very successful venture. But somehow he thought that if he wants to leave something as his legacy, he would want to leave a world-class research center in biomedical research. And that is the reason he started this activity, which is solely funded by him personally. So the main aim of SKAN is to carry out research in, as the name suggests, science and knowledge for aging and neurological ailments. So that is the major thrust area, and but it is not the only area. The overall goal is to develop therapies for human ailments which are gentler, because he feels that the pharmacological drugs have many adverse side effects. So there should be therapies which are with less side effects. So to develop those therapies, and then he believes that microbiome, he read about microbiome and he was fascinated by that, and he thought that microbiome or microbe-based therapies are one of the ways such gentle therapies could be offered. And that's the reason we started research in microbiome, and now we work on various aspects of microbiome. So current thrust is on microbiome based therapies for neurological diseases like Parkinson disease, also development of microbial based interventions to delay the onset of diseases like stroke, also microbiome based interventions to improve the quality of life in aging. And we have multiple international collaborations. Two are with Quadram Institute in Norwich. One is with Cambridge University. One more is likely to come with Cambridge University and Sanger Center. So these collaborations are again understanding the molecular mechanisms behind onset of neurological disorders, finding out novel therapies for Parkinson's disease, and also understand the molecular mechanisms involved in drug action on microbes, leading to discovery of novel drugs and drug combinations. So, and many more areas will come up. We are recruiting newer researchers. Currently, we are at the group leaders are 5 to 6 group leaders we have, but eventually we expand to something like 25 group leaders in different areas of modern biological sciences. Like since aging, as I mentioned, aging is one of the areas. So we are looking for people in stem cells, we are looking for people in tissue engineering. Currently, we have interest in age reversal. So we are also looking for some people. There was some write-up about this gene editing and age reversal. So we are looking for developing such technologies as well.
Right, right. So are you, I mean, have you met somebody from Department of Biotechnology or ICMR? Have you reached out to them for any collaborations, or do you plan to do that in future?
See,
Because, yeah.
sorry, we have existing collaborations with institutes like St. John Medical College, which is a trust, but in government sector, we have collaborations with Indian Institute of Science, and we have collaboration with NIMHANS in Bangalore about neurological disorders. We have developed some long-term cohorts with them to understand the progression of diseases like stroke and cardiovascular diseases. But so far, we have not approached any government agency for funding, because Mr. Sutta does not want to go to government for funding. He intends to fund the research only through his resources. So, in fact, we are supporting government institutes like NIMHANS to carry out research. There are certain aspects they cannot do with government funding, there are some limitations. So there's a reason it's idea to fill up that gap so that they can be successful in their research. That is a philosophy with which SKAN is working.
And sir, particularly on emerging trends or technologies in microbiology that excite you most. And there's also a lot of talk about the digital tools now, incorporating such tools into the drug discovery research. So how do you think these digital tools are going to help us in the longer run? And besides that, what are the overall, emerging trends in the microbiology?
See, microbiology research in general is at a very exciting stage, and it would not be wrong to say that next few decades are for microbiology and microbiome. But what has also happened is that it has become interdisciplinary. So it is not just classical microbiology, but there is a lot of information technology into it. And the fact, I mean, the SKAN is a living example of that, because a person with entire IT background spanning almost 50-60 years. Mr. Suta is now 82. So somebody who had a IT and engineering background for 50-60 years of his life develops interest in microbiology. So that itself speaks the importance of microbiology. So microbiome research is one area of microbiology that is going to be exciting. And when I say microbiome, it is not just human microbiome, it is all aspects of microbiome, including plant, animal, and environmental microbiome. That is going to be very exciting, and lot of potential applications are going to come out of that. And as an offshoot of microbiome research, there is a microbiome engineering. So you can engineer the human microbiome to change the human microbiome by microbiome engineering to change your metabolism. So that is one aspect. And another thing that is coming up in big way, as you know, is microbial biomanufacturing. So there is a lot of interest today to develop microbial biomanufacturing as an alternative to conventional chemistry-based biomanufacturing. And for example, in USA, they have come up with a policy that by 2030, 30% of everything, uh, industry chemicals, fuels, aviation fuel, fuels for defense purposes, should be from biological sources. So when that is said, you can imagine the scope that microbiology has. And digital information and uh, molecular model, I mean the competition modeling is going to be integral part of it, because in a lot of cases, even the in microbiome research and using microbiome as a prediction tool or microbiome as a therapeutic tool, a lot of information, a huge data is generated, which is eventually translated into various model and then converted into useful information. So same thing, we have a collaboration with Quadram Institute in the development of new drugs. It is basically a collaboration between Quadram Institute, SKAN Research Trust, and the IT arm of Mr. Suta, that is Happiest Mind, to analyze a huge data on microbial activities and translating that into discovery of novel drug targets and novel drug combinations. So, I mean, everywhere you talk about microbiome-based therapies, digital information and huge data and the analysis of this data to develop microbiome-based therapy is going to have great potential.
Right, sir. So, apart from that, since you have touched this subject of microbiology, bioengineering, if I'm correct, so
Biomanufacturing, yeah.
Biomanufacturing. So at what stage are we in India at the moment, or this is just an it has just started, or we are at some advanced stage?
India, we have just started. At the government level, there are some discussions happening about priority areas and uh, how should we go about that So some discussions have been initiated, some priority areas have been identified, and I'm sure in future these projects will take shape and move further in a very fast way.
Because Department of Biotechnology has been now putting a lot of effort in terms of
Yes,
popularizing this biomanufacturing. I think most of the
right.
themes are now
Yeah.
around this thing.
Yeah,
So
so
that
I
is
mean,
why.
they have invited many suggestions and identified some areas also. But the research is going to start very soon. So in the next few years, we'll see the fruits of it. And see the repositories like NCCS repository, they have a very pivotal role to play in these biomanufacturing research, because eventually the tools that are required for biomanufacturing are going to come from these repositories, which has a huge collection of microbes from many diverse sources, many diverse ecological sources. That is going to form the basis for this biomanufacturing. So they have a very important role to play.
Right. And sir, what role do you think public policy, plays in advancing scientific research and innovation in microbiology? The agencies like ICMR, Department of Biotechnology, and even CSIR also. So, what do you think, their role should be in advancing scientific research and innovation in microbiology for the, let's say, for the next decade?
See, there are many areas in which there needs to be a policy change. And now being a part of a private entity for last 3 4 years, I can definitely say this with confidence that still the government system is bound by a lot of bureaucracy, and that hampers the progress of the research. So it should be rid of this bureaucracy in terms of the amount of approvals that are required to do anything. Here in the private sector, you want something, you get it tomorrow, which unfortunately still does not happen in government institutes. There is a long way to do anything. Several approvals are required. Even in private sector, there are approvals required from government system. But after doing that, if you want some reagent or something which has no restrictions, you can get it very fast. So and that's the reason the success rate would be higher in such enterprises than in government. And secondly, though the act has been changed recently, still I don't think the changes are sufficient in the Biological Diversity Act. Especially when we talk about microbiology, the law is still very restrictive and it lacks quality. So if you want to really go global, the acts also need to understand the global requirements. Today what is happening is that because of the restrictive uh, regulations in the Biological Diversity Act, the Indian research is kind of, it's this kind of outcast. Nobody wants to touch any Indian biological resource for any purpose, whether it is for scientific or for industrial purpose, because there are so many strings attached to it that they feel that if we invest in that, we are not sure eventually whether we'll be able to take it to the market or not. So
Right.
if we have to go really global, we should come out with restrictions and be more open. In today's world, especially in microbiology, as Professor Overman, who is the director of DSMZ, says, everything is everywhere. You cannot talk about any microbe that is very unique to India. So, I mean, if we are not open, we'll lose. What we want to do, somebody else will do and take it to the market and we'll be lagging behind. So I think we should be little more open about these things.
Right. And particularly gene editing technologies, which of course I can
Right,
understand these are controversial in nature because across the globe, governments are yet to formulate a strategy or for the
right,
regulations. So in India also, I mean, nobody wants to touch this subject. And we have seen that in case of the agri-biotechnology, wherein BT
right.
brinjal to, to the GM cotton. They are still in the deep freezer. So I hope it gets solved over the period of time. And sir, the another question which is also related to it. This is that do you think there are any ethical considerations that scientists in microbiology should be mindful of? Especially when there were a lot of conspiracy theories which were floating on during the COVID-19 pandemic. So is are there any ethical issues? I mean, when we do the microbiology research, and what should be the scientists mindful of?
See, there are many ethical issues that need to be addressed because, there is no simple way to address these issues. As we grow, the issues will come up. For example, I can take example of microbiome-based therapies. Today, in many cases, people use fecal microbiota transplantation as a therapy, and there are some people wanting to take fecal microbiota from a healthy person, make capsules out of it, and use them for therapy. Now, the question is, what happens to the donors, right? And where does the donor stand? I mean, does he get any benefit out of the commercialization of his fecal microbiota, or it is just given in a good faith? Uh, Same holds true with the if you have some isolate generated from a particular donor, which have some very good potential as a probiotics. Where does the donor stand, or he has no right? So these are the major issues that one needs to consider. And of course, in a larger context, you talk about the COVID pandemic and all. One also has to be mindful about the dual nature of any research. So research on the, talking about things like COVID, the research on the understanding the pathogenicity of the organism and vaccine development, yeah, is a dual weapon. It can be used for development of the vaccine or the therapeutics. It can also be used for development of more potent pathogens. So there has to be a regulation on such research, so that the other side of the research, that is the development of potential research or drug resistant pathogens, is controlled in a more efficient way than what we have been doing so far. So these are some of the examples, but there are many other ethical dimensions to the kind of research that is being done right now.
Right. And sir, you have been associated with Azim Premji University also. So how has been the experience while teaching Generation Z, and any advice for the aspiring microbiologists?
Okay, so I'll divide this question in two parts. Experience with Azim Premji University and the advice to the youngsters. Azim Premji University is a very unique university in the country. It's though it is privately funded, though it's a private university, its aim is totally different. It is established with the aim of taking education to poorest of the poor. So the major emphasis is to bring the class that is so far deprived of education, to bring that class in the mainstream and educate them. So university makes some special efforts to reach to such students and bring them. It really makes special efforts to bring these students in the education, and such students are given full financial support. So besides fee waiver, their hostel stay and food, to the extent that their laptop and internet is also supported by the university. So it's a very unique place. You cannot compare any other place, any other university with Azim Premji University. Now, having said that, the other side of the story is then you get a very different cohort of students here. You get diverse students. You, on one side, you do have students coming from metropolis and coming from very good schools. So on one side you have those students, on the other side you have students where that particular student is the first person in the entire family or entire village going to a university. So you have such students also. So it's a challenge to teach in Azim Premji University to such a diverse group. And in Azim Premji University, it is mandatory. It's a responsibility of the faculty that to give attention to such students, make sure that they follow everything. It is faculty's responsibility to see to that if some student is lagging behind, take a note of that student and make provisions for that student to come up to the other part. So if the student is lacking in understanding of the subject, faculty himself or herself has to give extra time. If the student is lacking in mathematical abilities or language abilities, then there is a different kind of support. So it has been a wonderful experience for me teaching in the Azim Premji University. And in life also it had been an eye-opener for me, because when you interview the students for the admission and the kind of stories you hear from those students, those change your perspective totally. So there have been examples of a girl from Pune city, but was deprived of education because she is a girl staying in a very high-end locality of the Pune city. Can you believe this? That such a things even today happen in our society. So it has been a learning experience for me. So that is in general about Azim Premji University. So I had to leave that place for a different reason, but it's nothing against universities. I always like to clarify this, that I did not leave the university because I had some problems with them. No, given the option, again today I'll go back to them and work with the university. It's a wonderful place. And advice to youngsters, which is a general advice I used to give to my students also, that science is today is interdisciplinary. So you cannot be in silos, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology. No, it's today when you look at the science, it touches all aspects of science, including social sciences and moral sciences. So if you want to be a successful, make a successful career, you should understand this huge expanse and the opportunities that you have in these areas and where from you will need inputs. And it goes to further to say that you cannot want to be master of all. It is humanly impossible. So instead of this thing of doing everything I do myself, you should be open to collaborations, collaborate with the best possible expert in the field to solve your problem, international experts, national experts, local experts. That is the key to success. So have a feeling of entire expanse of not just science, but other faculties also, that will help you to progress in your career. So that is my advice to the youngsters, that then only you will be successful.
Dr. Shouche, thank you so much, for your time and these
My
valuable
pleasure.
insights. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It had been my pleasure. Thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Dear audience, thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next episode of Face to Face with BioVoice News. Thank you so much.
Thank you.